This is the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour,
supported by Albertsons
and
Omni Hotels and Resorts.
Brought to you by
Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Now, your hosts, Danny Sarek and Brad Sham.
Everybody, thank you very much for being with us as the Cowboys kick off their bye week on the Cowboys Hour. We welcome you wherever you are joining us. If you're listening anywhere at all on the Dallas Cowboys radio network, if you are streaming on DallasCowboys.com, delighted to have you with us. Really honored and deeply grateful to welcome in our very special guest who has come out of retirement to return to football. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Sean Lee, thank you for your time today.
I'm excited to be here.
I can
I don't
tell
think,
you're
was
on
I
the edge of your
retired?
seat.
I don't think I was retired.
It only felt like it. No, not to you, though.
Sometimes.
For those of you who are joining us, streamed live and or on tape on DallasCowboys.com, that is Sean's attempt at a several-month-old beard right there, so I kind of apologize for how that's
better.
That looks pretty good
It
to me.
looks good, right? It's better than anything you could do.
I mean, that beard,
the lighting's really bad.
It's good.
I got to tell you.
That white thing that's on your face is not even close to what I got here.
Sean, I shaved 2 years ago. I don't even have it anymore.
No, you never had it to begin with.
I
huh?
had it to begin with, and as I told Zach Martin, I'm sorry, Danny, and all of you listening, to subject you to this, but as I told Zach Martin at least 6 years ago, if I had wanted to grow a beard, once upon a time as a very young man, I had a full black beard, and it looked like what yours wants to be when it grows up. And so if I really wanted to grow it, I could put yours to shame, but I don't want to grow it anymore.
That sounds like an excuse. That's what it sounds like. Speaking of beards, I saw Travis Frederick. He was at the game yesterday. I saw him after the game, and his beard still looks great, and he looks great.
I thought he'd shaved.
No, the beard's back. Maybe he did shave, but it's
really
back.
fast?
Yeah, I
He
think
could
it
probably
does.
grow it back his beard is so elegant that he could probably shave it all off and grow it back like overnight.
That's what it seemed like. But it was at a good length, and it was full, and he looked good. And
Is that what your goal is?
no, I mean, I would love more beard. More beard is better, but this is
More cowbell.
as good as it gets.
All right, how do you feel physically besides your beard?
I feel good. I've improved every week. It was a tough start. The surgery was, the first couple of weeks weren't easy. Walking wasn't easy. Kind of getting the flexibility and strength back in the area took a little bit of time, but I've progressed every week, and I'm probably about 8 weeks out. And the last 2 weeks, I've felt really good, and being able to practice normally and play and get some action, I think helps.
So just to go back for the benefit of people who don't follow your medical history as closely as some of us do, I mean, you really... You have always worked so hard to overcome the injuries that you have, and when you're healthy, to stay healthy and be in peak shape. And you went into training camp, such as it was, thinking you were pretty much okay, did you not?
So, I dealt with this issue last year, and I thought I was over it. We dealt with it before the Rams game last year, and then in the off season, I had a little bit of issues with it, but I thought I was over it, and came into training camp, and it just got worse. And it got to a point where kind of got hurt at worse training before camp, and we tried to let it heal, and it never really did. So we needed to get surgery to make sure it healed.
So again, and you've described this to me, so I know how accurately you can do it. But just to make sure that we ruin everyone's supper, exactly what was it that you did that had to be repaired?
So it's a core muscle surgery. So your abs, they reconnect your abs to your pelvic bone.
So your abs
one of the abs ripped off. The one ab, the left ab, and the other one was kind of framed.
So you were down to a 3-pack.
I was down to a 3-pack.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you, Danny. Your ab ripped off the.
Yeah, I'm running and something popped right there, and you're like, well, that's not good. When you hear that, and you kind of know. But it's one of those things where you can play through a lot. You don't know exactly the extent of it, and then it just gets to a point where you have to handle it.
I'm sure somewhere through the last decade I've asked you this, but how old were you, if you recall, when you suddenly knew you had the ability to function with pain maybe more than other people?
I guess the playing the game, it never, when people described like a certain pain in the game or hitting and not liking hitting, I never related to that. I kind of loved the feeling of it, and it didn't really hurt in a way that was kind of described to me. I mean, there are certain hits where you're like, well, okay, that one hurt, and then as I guess the more you play, you don't feel as much physically because you get used to it. And then, as my career, the more injuries I've had to just deal with it. Mentally I've had to say, listen, this is where you're at. And if you want to play, you're going to have to fight through it, and you're going to have to deal with some pain, and you're not going to be 100% and figure it out. Because if you don't figure it out, you're done. And so you can't use it as an excuse, even though it might feel like a legitimate excuse. Don't even bring it to the table. Find a way to get around it and find a way to play through it.
Which shows people how much you love to play the game. And since you had worked so hard over the last couple of years to get back to playing, last year finally you played every game. And then this happens. Did you even have a minute when you realized you needed the surgery where you said, that's enough?
Well, yeah. I mean, when the first week I coming out, I was in a lot of pain, and I'm like, am I even going to be able to come back this year? I mean, I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know at 34, after having a lot of surgeries, was it going to take 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks? I mean, it was not ideal to have the surgery when I had it. Obviously, missing the time I already missed. But then I didn't know, when I was going to come back. But I said the first week, so I got the surgery in Philadelphia. And the first week going to rehab, I drove past their stadium, the Link, every day. And so my goal was, okay, at first I'm thinking, man, I'm not going to be able to play in this stadium again and be able to, shut the crowd up, or you hear the Rocky song, and the best feeling is you shut them up. Now, there wasn't going to be a lot of people in there, but still, but then I'm like, well, you don't know that, so let's go see what we can do. So being able to play in that game last week was a big deal for me, and it kind of pulled me out of knowing that I was going to be able to do that. Pulled me out of the hole when I didn't know where this was going to go.
Did you have any surgeries in high school?
No surgeries in high school.
So going back to Penn State, how many surgeries have you had?
So I did the ACL at Penn State. I did the toe in 12 in Carolina, where I had to have the plantar plate. I had the left ACL done. I had the meniscus done, and then I had this ab surgery done. So that's 5. And then I've had other injuries that the next one, I had the neck. I didn't need surgery for it, but the neck one in 13. So there were 6 probably major type of
So
deals.
whenever it is that you're done, are you going to miss surgery, Sean?
I'll be all right with not having surgery. I'll be all right. I think my wife's more done with surgery than me, too, having to take care of me.
Yeah, I have the feeling that you would not be a very pleasant patient.
No, I was a baby. I don't have a... Yeah, the first, like I had trouble walking, so she's helping me walk. She's helping me, she's pulling me off the couch. I had trouble pulling my pants up. She's helping me pull, just like I felt like a little kid. I needed that much help.
So how do you find that fine line of understanding if this is a pain that you can play through, or if this is something you have to bite the bullet and say, I need to get this fixed, even if I have to miss time?
That's a hard line. I mean, because for this one, you're like, it's healing, it's getting better, and really the trainers are the ones that help me. I mean, Britt, Jim, they put you through a rigorous plan, and if you can't get through it comfortably without pain, then they're like, listen, you're not going to be able to play football. So that has always been a template we've used, where, okay, we're going to stress this, build to it, stress it as much as we can, and then if you can't really do it and you're not confident about how you feel and you're still dealing with this pain, okay, let's go to that. And that gives you it's 2 things. It gives you confidence that, hey, I need to get surgery. I've done everything I can to try to play, and you're like, okay, let's go get the surgery and move on to the next step and attack that.
I think anyone who's ever been around you understands how intense a competitor you are, that you like. You're in the 99th percentile of people who flip a switch and become somebody completely different when you're competing, and it's what's made you the player that you have been. And so when that's the case, can you even quantify how hard it was for you to sit and watch the struggles of the defense for the first half of this season until you could get back to the team? And thank you, COVID, you couldn't even be on the sideline during games where you can help even
Sure.
if you're not playing.
Sure.
How do you quantify how hard
That's
that
always
was?
been the toughest part of being out, is not being able to help. I mean, when the team's rolling, that's when you feel great, and it's not a problem. It's when you know that, hey, I could have made a play or I can help. That's when you're like, man, I wish I could be out there. And then seeing the struggles, not being able to be with your team during it, that's tough. I mean, and no question, we did not start the way we wanted to. And I'm proud of how we've worked and how we've stuck together and pushed through it. And we've had 2 good weeks of football. Now we need more. We need better defense. We got to continue to improve. But it was as hard a couple weeks that I've been part of. I think we're trying the new system, not playing like we want. That's tough to take. And then kind of other stuff that swirled around it that we can't control when it comes to certain things media-wise, and you have to just put your head down and know, hey, we know where we're going. We know how to get back. We have a lot of guys who've played great defense, who've been successful in this league. We got to stick together. We got to get back to that play standard of we're going to hustle, we're going to out-hit people, and when we play right and we do it the right way, we can win. And so we've done that the last couple of weeks, and I'm proud of how we stuck together. But it was not easy. It's not easy for any of us.
And after we take a break, we're going to let you talk a little bit about specifically the way your group played yesterday and how that can carry forward going down the road. Sean Lee is our guest on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. We are grateful for his time and for your joining us this evening. We're brought to you in part by Albertsons. When it comes time to shop for tailgate favorites, go to Albertsons and Tom Thumb. Get 10% off your groceries every Dallas Cowboys game day when you wear your Cowboys jersey. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarkets and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Lou Casey, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. We'll be right back with Sean Lee on the Cowboys Hour.
Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons and Omni Hotels and Resorts.
Thanks for joining us from wherever you are joining us, and special thanks to our guest, Cowboys veteran linebacker Sean Lee, who is back and healthy, quadrupled the number of snaps very nearly that he played from week one of his return from injury to yesterday's game against the Steelers. So we'll look forward to even more, and I do want to have you talk, please, about the defensive hesitate to use the word effort. It's thrown around a lot, and I think sometimes disparagingly and not correctly, but there was something about the way you guys were playing throughout the game from the get-go yesterday on defense. What was that? Where's that been? And can we see that again, please?
Yeah, the effort, the hitting, the running to the ball, some of the big hits, seeing everybody swarm to the ball, that's been our identity for a long time, and I think we've gotten back to that, and that showed up a lot during the game. I thought we did a great job of stopping the run. Early in the game, they tried different runs, weren't able to get anything going. I think we were probably 2.5 yards per carry, and we're able to get pressure on the quarterback, make it stops on third down, and they came out in 0-1 personnel, one tight end and all receivers, and I thought we handled it pretty well. But that's a great quarterback, and that's a team with a lot of speed. But to be able to respond the way we did a lot of times and make plays, and against a really good offense who's got a lot of weapons, I loved how we handled ourselves.
But where's that been, and can we see it again?
I think we've grown to it. I think first thing we said is we got to get back to playing right when it comes to effort and standards, and that's out hitting people, and that's out playing with more effort than the team we're going against. And then also, the scheme is different. Some of the techniques are different. We need to double down on doing that right. Do your job right. Let's work on this. Let's play the right way with the technique. And I think we're playing with better effort. We're hitting right, and then the scheme and the techniques are starting to show up because we're getting better at them.
So you're confident that this is more like the way, as a group, you'll be able to play for the rest of the year?
We need to play like this. We have the group to play like this, but you never can rest on anything. You have to continue to improve. We still have a lot of room to improve. We're still learning some of the calls and the techniques, and the coaches have been great helping us with them and growing with us. And the hope is that we continue to get better and help it. We need to start winning, though. Like yesterday, we were in a position to win a game against a really good football team, and we didn't finish it. That's the next step for us, and we have a lot ahead of us, and we know with our division we can make a run and hopefully make some plays down the stretch.
This was your second game back, and when you were hurt, unlike previous years, injured players are not allowed to be on the field because of COVID. So when you were not able to be on the active roster, you were having to watch games from home.
Sure.
What is your demeanor when you were having to watch the Cowboys play from your house?
Well, originally, I've done a lot of it, so originally it was not very good, and I was screaming at the TV, no poise. I was rewinding it constantly to try to see certain plays, see what happened. And my wife finally said, listen, if you're going to be home for 4 or 5 weeks, we're not doing this. I can't watch it with you. You're going to have to go to another room. And so now, because I've done it, I'm a little bit better, but I have much more poise on the field than I do when I'm at home. I really am a fan at home, screaming at the TV, going nuts. But on the field, I need to have poise. A lot of times I'm calling the huddle, or I'm anticipating that next play, or trying to anticipate what they're going to do. So, yeah, I'm dramatically different at home. I'm much worse.
So your wife is very glad when you're able to go back to playing.
She loves sending me back. She's like, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? She's great, though. No, but she understands it. You don't have, when you're at home, you don't have that outlet, to really let loose, the emotional outlet, especially when you care about your team and you care about the guys and you see them work all throughout the week. You want it to go well for them.
So I don't know how much you and I have talked about this over the years, but one of the things that became very apparent during this period of time, as Danny is saying, is that you can't, thank you COVID, you can't be there. When the game is going on, you can't be on the practice field when you're not. Clearly, your presence not just you standing there. They could put a statue with a number 50 on it. But your presence, your interaction with your teammates and the coaches is helpful. And that the obvious conclusion one could draw from that is, guy's a coach looking for a place to happen. That's a coaching career. Is that something that you want to do?
I don't know. I love the game. I've told you this before. I love the game, but I love playing the game. I love practice. I love doing linebacker drills. I love hitting. I love every part about that. I mean, that is number one by far. And I love studying the X's and O's, and mainly because there's no better feeling than putting in that work, anticipating a play, know it's coming, and then attacking, and then helping your team win with that. And then having your influence. I think the toughest part, we have a lot of young guys on this team, and we're trying to pass that leadership down to them. And when you can't be on the sideline when you're facing adversity, and these guys have never experienced it before, you're not there to really, hey, this is how we do it. No, we're not going to do this. Or, hey, that's a great job. And that's hard to take. And so you're trying to do it during the week. You're trying to do it as much as you can. But that's been hard. And so double down during the week, trying to help these young guys, trying to help them grow. That's been a big part of a lot of, what I've tried to do. Dak has been unbelievable. He's been around the facility. We need to keep working on that. But from a coaching standpoint, I don't know yet. We'll see.
Yeah, only because we've known each other so long and so well do I feel empowered to say to you, that sounded like the answer of a man who is holding onto his playing career with a
100%,
death grip.
100%.
Will not
100%,
let it go,
100%.
Right?
Yes, yeah, 100%. I won't, until it's done, I don't think you can say that. I don't think you really know until it's done, until you have to put your playing career to bed and then really, truly make that decision.
So that's not something that's in the back of your mind right now? You just want to wait till you're completely done?
I'm going to wait till it's done. And then the question is, okay, how would you do that? Well, what would it be like? What would it look like? And then I think you always talk about your family, too, because I know those coaches put so many hours in. They're incredible how hard they work, and the families are incredible to support them in those situations. So I think it's not only my decision, but the family's decision, my wife Megan's decision, too.
Yeah, have you, here's a question I have no right to ask. Have the two of you ever had that conversation?
We've talked about it. There's no doubt. But I think we come to the same conclusion. How do you really know until you're done? I mean, it's kind of, we run into that same wall where you can say, yeah, maybe you want to get into this. But like anything, you don't know until you try it.
Your teammates have always, throughout the years, have very high things to say about you, not just as a player, but as a leader. Whether you are playing or you're on the sideline, how would you describe your leadership style?
Well, I think early on it was lead by example. And I had some great leaders to look up to as a young player. Jason Witten, I'm going to follow you everywhere you go. I'm going to, whatever you say, I'm going to do because you do it the right way. And as I've grown and kind of experienced things, I've become much more vocal and said, hey, listen, this is how I've dealt with this situation. If you want my advice, this is what I think. And then there's certain standard things that I think as you get older, there's certain things that you become more and more convicted by, and that, you're willing to stand up for those convictions no matter what. You're not afraid to be like, hey, this is the right way, we're going to do it, we're not going to do it any other way. I'm much more comfortable as I've grown older doing that in any case.
So again, only because you know how I feel about you and how I feel about you being a player, do I feel empowered to ask you, did this last injury, all this time these injuries don't just hurt your body; they hurt your soul.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
And there's only so much of that someone can take. Did this last one make you think, I'm coming back? I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish this year with my head high. I'm going to play as many snaps as they'll put me on the field for the last fill in the blank games, and then I've got to listen to reason, and my body's trying to speak reason to me.
Yeah, I think I think more. I saw it as another opportunity to overcome an injury that's tough, to show what I can do. I didn't dive too big into the implications, but there's no question that every time I miss time, it's hurt me. And really, I had all those injuries early in the career. At 12, 13, 14, right now, I did the toe, I did the neck, I did the knee, and my thought was, okay, in 15, I'm gonna never get injured again. I'm gonna make up for it. I'm gonna redefine my career as a guy who can help this team, and that didn't happen. And I still helped us in a lot of ways, and I've been proud of how I've played. But for a long time, I was like, that did hurt. That this is going to be part of my career. That I've been injured a lot. But at the same point, anytime I have this injury, when I come back from it, it's the best feeling in the world. I mean, like, look, I'm battled back from this, and I'm still able to play. I'm 11 years into this. I'm the only guy in my draft class still playing. I've been through a lot of injuries, and I still can put out some and help us win. That, to me, I'm proud of.
Do you share any of that with younger players, maybe someone like Leighton who's been experiencing injuries early on in his career too?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it last year when he found out his neck was injured. I mean, he was devastated, and how much he loves the game, and how frustrated you are when you're like, man, I can't be out there. And I'm like, listen, you can't allow this frustration to ruin this incredible opportunity you have ahead of you. I mean, you're going to come back and you're going to be great. Focus on that opportunity. Don't focus on the frustration of missing time, because that'll ruin it. And you don't want to look back and say, hey, I wish I would have done it differently. I wish I would have been more positive. And he handled that great, but it is hard. The frustration eats at you.
Do you ever, and this is the last question I will ask along this line, I think. I might change my mind, but I think. You've been to 2 Pro Bowls, as I recall. Is that
I have
right?
been, 15 and 16.
And you were playing at such a high level. Had you been able to stay healthy from that point, I really believe we would be talking about your career in terms of evaluating the Hall of Fame. Do you ever think I could have been that? I could have been a contender. I could have been that guy.
Yeah. I'm to be honest, it's more the games I missed and the situations. Like, I go back to college. I missed 2008. We went to the Rose Bowl. We were 1 game away from maybe playing in a national title. I didn't get to play in that season. I really think I could have helped. 2014, we played in Green Bay. It's more about the opportunities to win a championship that you're like, well, I wish I could have. What would have happened? What could I have done in those situations? The personal stuff, I'm sure that everybody wants to be great, but to me, what I think about the most are those missed seasons and those games that I would have loved to play in.
Okay, I think that's almost enough of the Sean Lee eulogy rehearsal.
Yeah. Please, we got a bunch of games down the stretch. I mean,
we're going to get.
And I'm alive and ready to go. You know what I mean? I had a couple of decent hits yesterday too. Okay, a couple of decent.
You did. That's why you're here, and so that's the avenue we'll pursue momentarily.
The Miller Lite Cowboys Hour brought to you in part by Papa John's. Order Papa John's Cowboys Family Special, a large specialty pizza and large 2-topping pizza for just $24 at papajohns.com. Official pizza of your Dallas Cowboys. Limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary.
Coming right back with Sean Lee on the Cowboys Hour.
to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons and Omni Hotels and Resorts.
Welcome back to the Cowboys Hour. Brad Sham, Danny Sarek, and our very special guest, Cowboys linebacker Sean Lee, as the Cowboys ease into the bye. Just to remind you, we will, even though the Cowboys don't have a game next week, we will have the Cowboys Hour next Monday. And one reason is we never have the Cowboys Hour the week of Thanksgiving, because that's ridiculous for everyone, because it just couldn't be done. So we will be here next week. And so we were kind of just, when you sat down, we were talking a little bit about the timing of the bye. So is there ever a bad time for a bye?
No, I think, anytime it comes, we're like, this is perfect time, unless it's really early. I know, what's the earliest bye?
Well, I think there are some teams who had them in week 4.
Yeah,
that's too early.
That's too early. That would be, but this right in the middle of the season couldn't be better situationally. And I think physically,
the Steelers had the week 4. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, and then it becomes a long stretch, and then you get that half bye. But we don't really get the half bye.
You get it the week after.
I know, but we do the 3 games in 12 days.
I know.
This bye is
by the way, just for anyone who doesn't know what Sean means by the half bye, that's what it is for the players when you play on Thanksgiving. In the days before everyone literally played at least once on a Thursday, you played on Thanksgiving, which was a hard week. Then you had 10 days off before the next game. But the last several years, and this one will be like it, they'll go from playing on Thanksgiving to playing on Thursday night. Well, at least you're back on a 7-day schedule, and then you have the half bye. It's not like you get cheated out of it. You just get it a week later.
Yeah, but you do the 3 games. I mean, that to me, I don't. I mean, you fight through it, but that's different. I mean, the days when there was no better time than playing Sunday, playing Thursday on Thanksgiving, winning on Thanksgiving, and then having the 10 days. Because then you had your family in, you had the full weekend to be able to hang with them. Now you're back in Monday. We got a game. Let's go win. And, like I said, there's no excuses. You go get it done, but that was nice.
Well, actually,
that was nice.
You won't be back in Monday. You'll be back in Friday because, right?
That's right. Friday becomes Monday.
Friday becomes Monday, and good luck explaining that to your relatives.
I just popped all the tire out of the air, out of the tire.
He says something like that. Sorry, that's what I do. That's what I do.
But, okay, to play devil's advocate, when you guys are coming off as a defense, 2 strong weeks, your best performances, is there a worry that this might stop the momentum?
I think when we come back and you start to practice, that we'll know pretty quick. And to be honest, the way we started, I think we know, hey, we got to continue to improve no matter what. And we want to be the defense. We've seen it 2 weeks. We know the formula. Let's stick to it. We can't back off it at all. I'd be surprised if it stopped, but you have to work for it. You can't rely on these 2 games. And to be honest, these 2 games, we got to find a way to win them. Like I said earlier, we played well, but there's down the stretch, we got to make those plays.
How many people, I mean, I don't mean exact count, but what was it, just a handful in Philadelphia in the stands?
There was not a lot. There was probably 7,000, 8,000.
So, and you weren't on the trip to L.A. or Seattle.
No, yeah.
And so I think we're now at a point until the pandemic flares up again and they shut stadiums down.
That's the spirit.
That's my glass is not half empty. He's got a crack in it. What I'm trying to get at is how weird is that? To play in a stadium where there's almost nobody there.
I had asked the guys what it was like because I didn't know. I wasn't at the stadiums, and they were like, "It's tough." And when it was eerie in Philadelphia when we first got there because no one was in the stands really in pregame. And I was like, this feels like we went to the backyard and we're playing backyard football. I mean, there's nobody here. And then when just having a little bit of fan noise helps. I mean, it wasn't that loud, but it was enough to feel fairly normal. And yesterday felt like a game. I mean, yesterday was
like a road game?
Well, we played, and it's like when we go to San Francisco or we go anywhere, we travel like the Steeler fans do. But when we played them in 2012, it felt like a bowl game. I said, we had our fans going crazy, and then when their fans went crazy because it was, they obviously travel very well.
So I have a kind of a random question. Last year there was a social media video that the Dallas Cowboys put out. It's one of our Sounds from the Sideline videos.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably one of the top 3 clips of the entire year. They got Antoine Woods on the bench taking a sip of water, not realizing it was your water bottle, and he was shocked to find out that it was coffee.
Yeah, that's my juice.
Why is that your choice?
I love
for your
coffee.
in-game?
First thing, I love coffee, and I love caffeine. I mean, I wake up, the first thing I do in the morning, I drink these nitro brews with a ton of caffeine. The first thing I do, I go to the fridge, I pour it out, I get back in bed, I drink it, and then I get in the car and come in hot, ready to go. But in the game, I love it. I drink it before the game, and then right at halftime, I get it on the sideline, and I start to drink it for the fourth quarter. So I always have it. In case I'm tired, I got it out there.
So what, black coffee? Are you drinking a latte? What are you
No,
drinking?
it's just black coffee and water. So we mix it, we cool it down. Like the first time we brought it out, it was hot coffee, and I'm trying to chug it, and I almost burned myself. I'm like, well, we need to figure out a way. So it's coffee and water, and yeah, I love the taste of coffee. I always have.
So you have 4 or 5 cups on a game day?
I would say that's probably true. Maybe more, depending.
How about on a regular day? How many cups of coffee do you drink?
It's pretty consistent, probably the same amount. I mean, I'm drinking it throughout the day most of the time.
That's crazy to me. So no water, Gatorade, it's coffee.
I'll drink water and Gatorade also. So just believe me, I actually push more water and Gatorade because I'm drinking so much coffee. Because you can cramp. And I've had some hamstring issues too, so we gotta figure out a way to avoid that also. So
interesting.
Because he doesn't have enough energy, he needs a little more coffee.
Oh, I love it when the coffee hits.
All right, so
juiced up.
now you're on the microbrew. That's your 365 coffee, is that right?
That's right. Well, it's got a little bit more caffeine in it. It's great.
But I mean, did you ever have you? I'm a little bit of a coffee nerd. Have you ever experimented with different kinds of beans and flavors and that kind of thing?
I have had different beans, but I want coffee to taste like coffee. My
Tastes
wife
like
likes
coffee.
but there's certain ones that are, I don't know, they got hints of fruit, or my wife likes those, and I'm like, I want it to taste like coffee.
Not fruit.
I mean,
flavors.
I just want it to taste like coffee.
I'm going to send you for Megan a sample of. I've got a little kind of a private blend.
Oh, okay.
It's got some, it's got like a little vanilla, and there's some cinnamon.
You've always been, you have a nice palate. You've always been,
I
little hoity-toity.
Hoity-toity. I'm somewhat discerning.
It's good. You like, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So I'd be interested to see. I'm going to send Megan some of that, because you clearly don't. Care
I would drink
put
it
in your body.
I would drink it, but I could drink. I could drink gas station coffee and not have a problem. I could drink Folgers.
And are you like me that you can drink a cup or two of regular coffee at night and have no trouble sleeping?
Yeah, I won't have too much of an issue.
Yeah.
Later in the day.
I don't drink coffee at all. I think I have maybe like 3 or 4 cups a month, and that's on like days I have to wake up early and get ready to come to the studio and do a show.
Okay, so you understand we can't understand you at all.
That's 100%. I don't know.
Here's the best part, guys. I make my coffee in a Keurig. Does that just kill you? No, you don't use something fancy?
No, I'm all right with that. Now, Brad would have an issue with that. Brad's obviously
like French press, espresso.
No. Espresso's fine for an after dinner thing. That Keurig's fine.
Look at him.
Are they
Look at him.
It's not my personal choice.
Look at him. There we go. There it is. There it is.
There's not, because that's easy. You are young and on the go, and you are not.
I think it's great. Yeah.
Not gonna fight that yet.
No
No
grass
doubt.
growing under your feet. But my beans, I grind every morning. I like the smell of the beans grinding in my home.
Yes.
And then
You got your butler who grinds your beans.
I don't let him anywhere near it. I
I got you.
I do that myself.
Your cook who has breakfast ready.
Clearly, the cook is a failure.
Yeah.
But the butler, I won't let him anywhere near the coffee. I'm very particular, a little bit like you.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break here in a minute. When we come back, I'm just going to give you warning. I never do this, but I am going to give you warning that Danny is embarking on a new hobby that Antoine Woods really helped get her involved in. And so we're going to see if you have any advice for her on her new hobby.
Tell me what the hobby is. You got to give me a...
No, that's the tease.
It's a tease,
You have
yeah.
to
But don't
listen.
tease me. You can tease the audience.
We're going to tease everybody and be right back with Sean Lee.
The Miller Lite Cowboys Hour brought to you in part by Omni Hotels and Resorts. This fall, do more than just stay apart. Stay a part of the game and stay a part of the Cowboys. Experience football season at Omni Frisco Hotel, the official hotel of the Dallas Cowboys, and enjoy all the dining and entertainment options the Star has to offer.
We'll be right back with Sean Lee on the Cowboys Hour.
To the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons and Omni Hotels and Resorts.
Cowboys Hour, Brad Sham, Danny Sarek, and our special guest, Sean Lee. Sometimes we talk about things during the break that we just frankly can't tell you about. This is not one of those times. but we covered enough ground there during the break that we're going to have to hustle to get to everything. We'd love to share it with everybody, so please.
Yes, quick backstory for everyone listening. A couple of weeks ago, Antoine Woods challenged me to play Call of Duty because I have never played before, and I'm a very competitive person. So when he told me that I would likely be as good as his 4-year-old son, I took that as a challenge. So I was telling Brad and Sean that this weekend my brother-in-law, Scott, who has 2 controllers, is going to teach me how to start playing Call of Duty, and I was saying that this is probably the perfect person to talk about because who's more competitive, right, than Sean Lee?
Yeah, but the first thing, I'm terrible at Call of Duty, so I can give you no advice.
But you have played
and I'll say I have played it, and I'm not good. And I got so frustrated, I just stopped playing. But the guys are so intense in the locker room about it. I mean, on our away trips, if it's a night game, you see guys bringing suitcase with their own console, they got special, like TVs for it. What would that be? Yeah, special
monitors
for it. There's certain type of Wi-Fi that they want to speed up the way they
right
can
now,
react.
what's going
I mean,
through
it's over
Danny's
my head too. Believe me, I'm trying to explain.
It's not over Danny's head. What's running through her mind right now is, how much is this going to cost me to be competitive at the extreme ultimate level?
Suddenly a little overwhelmed by everything this is going
You'll
to
be
take.
fine. You'll be. Believe me.
What was there about Call of Duty that made you stop playing it? That made you think you could not master it?
I was just so bad. I mean, when you're dying as soon as you go in, and I could barely even play. And then when I'm like controlling the gun, maybe because my thumbs have been broken a bunch. I don't know what it was, but like I couldn't control the gun. I'm shooting everywhere. I mean, it just became a mess, and I didn't deal with the frustration very well.
This sounds like exactly how this is all going to play out when I start learning.
How many controllers and or consoles did you damage?
I don't want to really talk about that. No, but
maybe we should ask Danny what her temper level is when things grow frustrating in competition.
I'm going to have to be poised because this is not my controller. It's my brother-in-law's, and I'm not going to want to have to pay for one. So I will have to be poised and control my emotions, but I do get very competitive. It's not always a pretty sight.
That's a good thing. Don't downplay the competitiveness. It's good, especially in this. It'll be fun. And then, I just didn't have the grit to power through it. There's some things that I'm competitive in, but this one I wasn't as much.
What do you mean the grit to power through it? You've got the grit.
No, I got the power through that. I can power through that, but losing on Call of Duty, I couldn't do it. I was too frustrated. I couldn't handle it.
All right, so then we were talking about fantasy football.
Mm-hmm. I do want to talk about this. Humble, very humble brag. In one of my leagues, I am 9-0, about to go 9-0.
Let's go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're entitled to tout your accomplishments, but what was humble about that brag?
Absolutely nothing. I have earned it.
Good.
I have earned every second. I've been a very good GM. Everyone else in my league is not near to my level.
Who's in second place? What's the record?
It's actually they're so far behind it really.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's true. You know what? It actually might be former Cowboys safety Danny McCray is in this league.
I like that.
And she's kicking his butt, is what
Sure
she's
am.
trying to tell you.
Danny's just an okay GM. Great football player, GM. Just
he is going to go 6-3.
Okay.
And he'll be in second place.
Oh, wow. So you got a 3-game lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I am sitting quite comfortably.
The playoffs, how does it work? Two games? Or?
No, we'll have 4 teams. So we'll do, I think, 14 weeks. It doesn't go like all the way through to the Super Bowl.
I got you.
And so then it's one and done.
So
you're out.
We're sorry. We were just starting to get to how you feel about fantasy football.
I like fantasy football, and I think it brings a lot of people who maybe wouldn't watch football into the game. They enjoy watching it. They'll watch games that they've never watched and learn about the game, and kind of opens up access to it, which I think is a good thing.
Okay. Time out right there. Do you think that people who just are involved in fantasy football really learn about the game?
I think that the more they watch, they have. Let's say you've never watched the game, and then you watch it some. You know more than you used to know.
Sure,
it's somewhat. So not everybody's going to be Brad Sham. Know the history of the league.
Thank God.
And the Cowboys, and I appreciate. Obviously, that is the right. To me, I agree with that. But just having people enjoying it and watch it is a good thing too.
Yes, of course. But then people think they're into football. I think Danny's heard this story. I had this conversation with another media friend of mine before the season started and training camp had begun, and Amari Cooper said at a press conference that he thought that the Cowboys could have 3,000-yard receivers. And so this fella asked me on a radio show, do you think they can have 3,000-yard receivers? And I said, let me ask you a question. Suppose that one of them has 850 yards and they go to the Super Bowl. How would that be? And he said, Brad, I'm trying to win the league. And I said, so am I, but I don't think we're trying to win the same league.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get the motivation.
I mean, to me, what's great about football is everything that happens. You guys on the defensive side do things throughout a game that lead to the conclusion of the game that determines whether the game is won or lost. That's not part of fantasy football.
No, I agree with that. And the point emphasis is not how you should look at the game. I agree with that. But you should be, you can disconnect, hopefully, your fantasy league from your being a fan of a team and understand what, if your team wins, that's good. And your fantasy team, you should be able to sacrifice that a little bit. Maybe you can if you're too competitive.
But so Danny,
No, I can't.
Maybe.
No, I believe you can, but I know how much you know and care about real football. How the people you play fantasy football with,
I will say, in my experience,
and don't include Danny McCray.
Of course not. See, I love Danny McCray, but I love playing him in fantasy football because we just smack talk the entire. He's going to be
That's just fun.
He's going to be so mad at me for saying this. Danny actually was the only person in our league last year to get a trophy because it was a small little toilet trophy because he came in last.
Oh, toilet bowl.
He's going to be so mad I said that, but I actually do like playing him. You can tell.
You are a trash talker, aren't you?
I know. I think you can tell people who play fantasy football who don't really watch and don't really follow the sport and like who they draft and who they decide to play or waive or make trades. I think you can tell that.
Do you? I don't see you as much of a trash talker in a real football game, Sean Lee. Are you?
At times, but not really. Traditionally, no. But situationally, sometimes, yes.
Would you instigate it, or would you?
No, it's always response. It's always response oriented.
That's how I would. Now, I've heard you on a football field, especially in training camp when we get close enough. But some of the things that I know you say are not necessarily trash talk. They are in the spirit, in the course of the competition. But I wouldn't see you as a.
I'm not. I'm argumentative. So if you want to do this, let's go, but so if you want to start, let's talk about this. But normally I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to play. I like just playing. And I think that's the right way to do it. You run, you talk with your pads. I always talk with your effort and your pads and what you do. All the other stuff, getting excited for a big play, that's passion, that's part of the game. But some of the excessive stuff, no, I've never been too big of a fan of it.
All right, so when you are in the off season and there are no televisions to swear at and you're not playing video games, we've established that. When you go sit out on the boat, what is it that you're doing? How do you pass the time?
Well, I am out on the boat. You know that. I'm out on the boat. I like to get to. I've become much more of a guy who likes to be outdoors. I like to hike. I got 2 dogs, Finn and Waylon, that I love to take on hikes and walk them, jog with them, take them different places on the beach. And then I've tried to read more as I've gotten older. Nothing substantial, but just
everything that is potentially substantial.
But I read I read like half a book and then I set it down. I go to another book. I never finish books. I'm so bad at finishing
fiction
books.
Or nonfiction?
I swing between the two. I'll have fiction and then I'll be on a big nonfiction kick.
How do you read? Not that I haven't done it and might have a couple of books that fit that category right on my nightstand right now, but. How do you get like halfway through a fiction book and then you don't want to finish it and find out how?
Because if it hits me in the wrong way and I'm like and there's like a hard part to get through, and then I'm like this is just, I'm like oh you lost
pictures,
exactly where the drawings go.
All right. Now was that what you'll do with whatever time you have? People sometimes are not aware that you don't have time fully off. When you're on a bye, because you will practice a couple of days in here, but will you just take the dogs out and just
and this bye will be different just because I'll be here and I'm still trying to improve and get healthier and healthier with this injury and so I'll be here more than I normally am.
And that's COVID related, right?
It's COVID related. We have to get tested every day, and then also coming back from this surgery, it's always nice to have a week where you can get in the weight room a little bit more. When you start to come back, you spend a lot of time in the weight room, and then you get on the field, and you kind of have to balance your workload. And this week, with not practicing, I could probably get in the weight room, get some strength going, and maybe continue to improve.
I have to ask you, what kind of dogs do you have?
So it's a pretentious sounding name. It's called a wired hair pointing Griffon.
Oh, but I'm hoity-toity.
Listen, this is how we found it. We literally went on Google and we typed scruffy dog that likes to run. and a picture of this dog popped up, and they're hunting their pointers. They're very active. My wife Megan loves to run. I mean, she's running 4, 6, 8 miles a day, and so she takes them out. And they love to be outside, but they've been great. They're goofy, they're fun. I've always loved dog. It's a wired hair pointing Griffon. So
That sounds so fancy. So
it's not even fancy though. It's not. It's like it would be like a German short hair, but with scruffy hair.
Well,
don't make it more than it is, Brad. Don't do that.
I'm not, and sadly we are about out of time. But saying scruffy hair reminds me to wish you the very best of luck with what's left of your beard. See if you can finally get it to grow
You
out.
could just have to prove it. You keep talking a big game, but I'd love to see you prove it. Whatever.
Let me just say that I haven't missed a game in years. Okay?
Yeah, no time. Huh?
Okay.
That's easy in the seat.
Yeah, it's easier.
Easier in the seat,
It's really, really
No,
fun to see.
that
you
is
back on the
impressive.
field.
I
Thank
appreciate
Sean.
you guys
Thank
very
you,
much.
Sean Lee.
Thanks a lot.
For Danny Surek, I'm Brad Sham on the Cowboys Hour.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!